Good morning. Welcome to Who Am I? I was unsure as to whether I was going to record this morning. I've been a little bit less than inspired by my theme lately. It started to feel a little bit unreal to me. Probably just because I have repeated the same thing over and over and over and over for so long, and I really don't know what I'm going to do next with this. I don't know where this is headed. I know that at some point I would like to see a merging with reality with my ideas, and because I truly would like to see humanity get off of freaking fossil fuels and understand who we are and quit fighting with each other. I would like us to start using the incredible potential of the field, the setup, our design, to start really solving the problems in the world. I'd like to see it playing out more collectively. I'd like to see the wars winding down. I'd like to see the infrastructure of the 21st and 22nd centuries really starting to emerge instead of us just talking about, fiddling around with these 20th century and 19th century technologies that we got going on, especially in reference to energy. But I noticed this morning that 4 people listened yesterday, which is funny because I didn't really love yesterday's episode, and I don't know why 4 people watched it yesterday. I have some other favorite ones that went by that nobody watched. I'm like, wow, that was a really good one, and why has nobody watched that one? But 4 people watched me yesterday, and I don't know why. But it inspires me. It inspires me to come back into the space and try again. Who am I? I ask this in all humility. Truly, I do. Who am I? Who am I in reference to source energy? And what does that mean? But, at some point, the listeners are going to want to know who I am. Who I am. Who am I? Well, I'm a boomer. I'm a female. I'm an American. Actually, I don't get a lot of inspiration when I start going that direction. I don't feel a lot of inspiration to tell you all about who I am, where I was born and how that went when I was young and how I felt about growing up and how I feel about America and the position that we're in right now. Actually, one of the reasons I do believe that I am inspired to do this is I have a sense of there's a part of me that has a sense of, I hate to call it foreboding, because I don't really worry about things like that, but the fact is that America is in a very interesting moment in time, because I believe that our political story is playing out the way it's playing because we don't know who we are, and we don't understand the situation. Actually, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. Am I going to talk about my trepidations for the American election later this year? Because honestly, if you ask me truly, I don't have a great deal of faith in the empire in the long term. I don't think that's what's going to save us. I don't think it's actually what's keeping us okay right now. Our sense of okayness is keeping us but I don't think the empire is going to last. And so I don't know that it really matters that we're fixing to do something really stupid, which is we're gonna elect. Oh my goodness. Actually, I don't know where my inspiration is this morning. Let me back off for just a minute, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back in. I don't want to stop this because I've already gone 5 minutes in. And so even though I don't know where I'm going with today's episode, I'm not gonna stop, erase, and start over again. I've gone too far. First of all, let me talk about the this opening picture that I got going on the video. I know you've seen this one. This one was here just a couple of days ago. I've gotten to the place where I have some favorite ones. Now, at first, my favorite ones were my mushroom series. I had a really great mushroom series. I have a great moon series, some really beautiful. I have some beautiful snow and forest series. But I got these three. This one, the girl looking out to sea, sort of pensively. This actually reminds me of me back in 1973. So, and then there's this one. I call this one Golden Autumn Moons. And then this is the one I started this morning. At first I didn't like these because of the little person in the picture, and now I like them best because of the little person in the picture. Because it almost feels like me as a young girl, me with my face always in a book, me, like I said, looking out to sea and thinking about whatever. I don't know whether I will make these my normal ones or whether they're just going to be my favorite ones. And I had decided I wanted to do this one again today. I like the image of a girl who is wondering who she is. Who am I? Who am I? Who are we? And what the heck is going on? Where did we come from? Excuse me. Where are we going? Why are we here? How did we get here? Who designed us? I actually think we were designed, which is an interesting question because I also believe that the person who designed us wasn't supposed to. They violated their own prime directive, their own non-interference of a naturally evolving species. And they might have thought, well, what's the problem? We're just going to grant these people, this amazing technology, this amazing biotechnology, this amazing consciousness vehicle, and this ability to speak to the quantum field, and this ability to manifest consciously like crazy. We have a connection. Our inner beings, our vibrational inner beings, have a direct link to the way that the real world is manifesting, becoming, right? And that's pretty magical. But then we're going to keep instructions on how to work this new technology secret. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if we ever had a user's manual. I bet we didn't. I bet nobody gave us a user's manual on how to operate our machinery. So I'm going to pause for just a second because, like I said, I'm not sure where I'm going today. Maybe I'll just jump right back in and just circle around with my whole presentation. Maybe that's what I'll do, but just hold on a minute. Maybe indeed that is what I'm going to do. We'll see what kind of inspiration strikes me as I go on a bit. Like I said, I wasn't going to record this morning, but I couldn't stay asleep. So I got up, and when I looked at my analytics from yesterday, I see that 4 people watched yesterday's episode, and it wasn't even very good. But that sort of has inspired me to keep going with this because there's a mutual thing happening. I'm not sure what it is, but there's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm not sure yet what it is, but I have every faith that the meaning why I do this will reveal itself as the story plays out, as time goes by, as things reveal themselves. Who am I? Who am I? And what is the meaning of our lives? How do we figure this out? How do we figure this out? So, what is my thesis? My thesis starts with a belief that, let's see, what is it that I do believe? I believe that all of the problems that human beings face, the real problems on planet Earth, the big existential ones, the ones where we're wiping out the ecosystem, where we're fixing to go extinct ourselves, we are mired in big suffering problems, sixth mass extinction, world poverty, starving children, relentless wars, fighting over resources, even our political issues, where insanely, against all facts on the ground, it looks like we're going to elect a dictator, a narcissistic mob boss, pillager extraordinaire. We're going to elect him because millions and millions and millions of people in the United States somehow have gotten the idea that he is their savior, that he can fix this, when all he is going to do is smash it to pieces. Now, I am trying to find my peace with this because I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to change that. I don't know how to magically get Marianne Williamson at the top of the ticket and have a real choice between love and hate. Or between love and fear is probably a better way to describe the two sides. Love and fear. Are we going to act in love or are we going to act in fear? My guess is we're going to act in fear. And the biggest reason probably is I'm not sure the empire needs to be saved. I'm not sure that empire is what we want going forward. And now I push back against nothing. I love my country. I love the land of my country. I love the people of my country that speak my language and call themselves Americans and, grew up in the time period that I did and have a sense of our history and, what the vision and the dream of America was all about. I love all of that. America, apple pie, corn on the cob, 4th of July, all of that stuff. I love that. Truly I do. But things change. Time passes. Things reveal themselves. And the fluxing manifestation continues to morph. The morphing manifestation continues to flux. However you want to put it. Because the who am I that we ask is always who am I in reference to this field that I am a part of, and how is this field system designed? It's all really good questions, and our exploration of those answers hopefully will shed light on our collective issues as human beings as we bang around here with what appears to be shrinking resources and shrinking spaces to occupy and dwindling hopes and dreams and all of that. You can look at it from directions where it would appear that that's what it looks like. But I don't believe that. I don't believe the lack of abundance. I don't believe the scarcity paradigm. I don't actually believe that that is what we exist in. It's just the way we're working it because of what we're assuming about it. If we could assume different things about it, we could work different things out of the equation, like abundance. It turns out that when you co-create creatively and cooperatively and coordinatingly, how many more co's can I say? With the field, you can produce abundance. We're sort of operating in misalignment with the field, out of alignment with who we really are and with the actual situation on the ground. And so we're creating an artificial scarcity that doesn't really need to exist. We can easily provide all human beings and all beings on the planet with the backdrop that they need to survive, to thrive, to be. We don't have to be doing what we're doing. Why are we doing what we're doing? Well, we have patterns moving forward, and I used to think that there was no way that those patterns could ever change. We were locked into it somehow through our what was I thinking it was? Somehow our unconscious programming would never, ever allow us to change our behavior. We would just keep moving on. And then I saw us do something that I never thought I would see us do, and it shocked me. In 2020, in a really big way, for a lot of months, based on something we believed, it's true, we all changed our behavior. And it shocked me that we could do that. And it actually inspired me because I realized we can do that. I didn't think we could. I didn't think we would. I thought that we would just mindlessly, as sort of this group phenomenon that didn't seem to have a mind to it. It seemed to be quite random, and it sort of canceled itself out with all of the different randomness. We never seemed to be flowing in a direction intentionally as a being. I'd never seen us do that, and then we did it. We all quit going to work, which I thought was amazing. And it actually showed us a number of things. Now, you can immediately hit your resistance and go in and talk about how there's so many places you could go in resistantly. But I don't want to go in resistantly here. I want to go in and without resistance, I want to just look at this phenomenon for a minute because I thought it was really interesting. And it actually fairly painlessly brought about some revolutions. Some revolutionary pattern shifts. Like up until that time, hold on. It brought about before it happened, everybody went to work, and they thought they had to, even if they didn't have to, they had to. A lot of what COVID taught us was what didn't need to go to the office. Everything that didn't have to go to the office stayed at home and demonstrated for us all, for our consciousness and understanding of what didn't need to go to the office, what could stay home if it wanted to. Now, if you look back over big revolutionary moments of humanity over the last century and a half or whatever, I just want to include the world wars. And you can see this demonstrated if you binge watch Downton Abbey. You don't really have to binge watch Downton Abbey. You can see this without doing it, but it's real easy to see it if you do binge watch Downton Abbey. You can see the positive social effects that happened after World War I. for sure. And then more happened after World War II, the integration of the races and the equality of the sexes and the expansion of opportunity for everybody, actually, but women for sure, and people of color for sure. All kinds of stuff that was rigidly baked into society's cake that wasn't changing. It was not changing. It took a war to change it. And the reason the war changed it is because we were so busy fighting this existential threat. This other thing that was so important took all of our attention, that some of the ways that we control other aspects of our society sort of lapsed in attention. And then naturally, what was more natural and more restful and more more downstream became, it came about. So, as the fabric of our society rendered and tore, it allowed things that needed to happen that we weren't allowing to happen. It goes back to the old, oh man, I wish I could solve my morning frog. And you know, one of the things I used to do was tea. But then tea was making my mouth really dry. I don't have a dry mouth this morning, but I have, maybe I should just drink hot water. Lemon water. That'd make my mouth water, wouldn't it? Anyway, so the old saying, it's not a saying, it was a quote, right? Wasn't this something that John F. Kennedy said? When something on to the effect of, when you make those who make peaceful revolution impossible, make violent revolution inevitable. And the idea there is that revolution or evolution is gonna happen. Expansion is happening. And when you try to contain it in one place, it squeezes through your fingers in another way. So this all goes to the question, who am I, doesn't it? Who am I? Who are we as a species? What are we doing collectively? What's the meaning of our political activity? And isn't that so interesting and revealing? And showing quite clearly that we are in the advanced stages of, what do they call it? Capitalism is in an advanced stage of decay, and the empire is way at risk right now. It really is, and with good reason. The reason that what is playing out is playing out. You don't have to look too far. You can see that it is a. Let's see if I can wrap my mind and my head, my mind, and my words around a description of what is going on in our political life. Here at the center of the empire as it decays. Advanced capitalist. I'm trying to find the word. There's words that people have already used to describe the advanced stages of capitalism as it decays, as that system decays. And I hate to reinvent the wheel. I hate to, make up expressions when perfectly good ones are already out there. I just can't find them. But what's the meaning of where we are? We have a freaking empire of over 300 million people. And they are all paying they're paying large taxes into the community till. I actually think we should stop paying all taxes because I'm kind of afraid of what those taxes are going to be used for. I'm not so much afraid of, our activities in taking care of the poor, taking care of the sick and elderly, taking care of the young, feeding the hungry, coming together on projects like setting aside national parks, setting aside wild lands and lands that pristine lands that no one touches, that no one capitalizes on, that no one leases and gets the rights to dig the minerals or to hunt the, whatever, just lands that are set aside. Those kind of projects are good. I think we need to watch it on the infrastructure. For the moment, I think that our money would be better served. What I think we really should do is have a massive R&D, excuse me, not rest and relaxation, but rather research and development on an understanding of source energy so that we can get our freaking technologies plugged directly into that. And there ought to be a great national push for it. Not pushing back against anything specifically. Let's let all of the industries in place at the moment sort of evolve naturally to where they need to go based on actual reality as we better and better understand it. How about that? I don't think that government should actually artificially hold any industry up. I've decided that it shouldn't do that. What is it that we need as human beings? What is it that we actually need to stay alive until such time as we get our systems into better alignment with reality, with the vibrational reality of the actual state of the universe? How the grid actually works, how the matrix actually works, how the quantum field actually works, how your biotechnological design, how that works. There's a little subset of information where we can talk about where our design may have come from. I find that very interesting. I think that there should be a line of scientific research asking very specifically human origin discovery, and assuming that some sort of truth can be found, that there's evidence out there to support different theories about where we might have come from, and it didn't just spring naturally through Darwinian incremental evolutionary processes. That's not the human story. There is something very odd about our genetics. We have been genetically modified. And somebody did it a very long time ago. And they did it such a long time ago that it could only have been an extraterrestrial. We didn't do it to ourselves because we ourselves weren't evolved enough to do that back then. So that's a very interesting question. It opens up a lot of very, very interesting fields of inquiry. As we look around the planet, there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of structures, all seemingly related to one another, displaying massive technology that we cannot replicate. When you're talking about how these structures were quarried, how they were cut, how they were set, where they're located, it's all very mysterious. And any kind of imagining that we've got it all covered, we've got it all understood. Don't worry about it. We know how that happened now. It's been proven. The way that the stones for the pyramids were made it to their locations is they were floated down the Nile. Okay, all well and fine. But once you get them off the damn barge and you're setting millions of stones, and even if you can, in ordinary terms, explain the pyramids, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and I'm not so sure you can, especially when you see um how finely how imperfection the building is aligned to the ordinal directions, to cosmological, the mathematical. Boy, I'm sorry. Forgive me. My speech has sort of devolved into gibberish as I struggle to reach for words that adequately express how much information is in the pyramids that is totally not explained by, you know, the conventional view of our development does not include genetic modification, does not include extraterrestrials, does not include UFOs now, does not include galactic understandings or relationships, at least not publicly. I do believe that there is an aspect of humanity that totally understands extraterrestrials and UFOs and their technology and our history and our own personal biotechnology, understanding the 0 point energy field and what it really means. What it really means to humanity. What it means to any individual who chooses to, in a layman's way, try to understand it. The fact is that we live in a pretty miraculous space. It is so amazing, so potentially magical and wondrous that we should be focusing that direction and learning how to truly affect the shape and nature of the physicality of the rolling manifestation we can intentionally manifest. In the old days, we would have been burned at the stake and called witches, as you learn to physically affect the physical universe. It is my intention to physically affect the physical universe in a positive way. I want to help kind of defuse the insanity, the potential Wetiko insanity that I see rising in the frickin' field around me. Because this field phenomenon that we are, you are both a divinely individuated individual, and you are the whole field, and you can't separate yourself from the whole field that you are. And so, unfortunately, the madness of your neighbors does indeed affect you. It does affect you. That's why we can't get out of each other's business. That's why we want to gossip about everybody. We want to know what everybody else thinks about everything. We want to watch what everybody else is doing. We want to visit each other and see what everybody else is wearing and what they're eating and how they're handling their a particular slice of the ecological problem in their neighborhood, It was interesting. We went to New Zealand earlier this year, and it's a beautiful, wonderful country. Really love it. And it has some really wonderful things going on with it as they see themselves as they're very supportive of other human beings in small ways. Like, there were plenty of public bathrooms, free, clean, public bathrooms everywhere. enough for all people, and you don't have to ask, can you afford this bathroom? Do you have a bathroom of your own in your own home? Because if you do, then you can use this public bathroom. But if you're homeless, we don't want to provide bathrooms for you. We'd just rather have you urinate in the street. Isn't that a better solution? There were bathrooms everywhere, and there were signs on the streets. There were street signs, like where it said this street and that street going this way and that way. There would be, on the street sign would be public toilets and an arrow pointing which direction you could walk. And they would always be close by. It's a wonderful country. But they have some of this, it brought home to me that even though I was immersing myself in this wonderful experience, I was really having a good time, actually, as we walked around this beautiful country and saw how they were preserving their ecosystems and making concerted, collective efforts to do so. And doing a good job, actually. Their ecosystems, there's a lot of places in the South Pacific that have been ruined by invasion because they are so delicate. They are so fragile, so ready to be... life is so virulent in a way that, you bring the wrong strain of species into a protected environment like a sheltered and sequestered South Pacific island, and if you don't watch it, paradise is turned into a snake pit. Ask Guam, because that is what Guam has turned into, a snake pit with the I think it's the brown tree snake. Unless it's a green tree snake. I think it's a brown tree snake, though. Completely taken over the island. All other species of life, it has just gobbled up. And it's a terrible thing. But New Zealand's done a wonderful thing. But it brought home to me that they still have the same problem that all of humanity across all of the globe has. Because they still use fossil fuels, just like all of us do. We all use fossil fuels, and we shouldn't be using fossil fuels. And it is outrageous, and I am outraged that we are still using fossil fuels. Because actually, although I am not going to chase the actual conspiracy itself, because in the end, there is no us and them, and the answer to this problem is for us to understand ourselves. To understand who we are and what the setup we're actually in is, and which direction our salvation lies. Our salvation lies in our understanding that the way it works is that we need to learn to focus upon what we want. And if I chase the conspiracy, then I am effectively looking at what I don't want that I have, instead of casting my consciousness in the direction of what I want. So if I'm looking at what I've got, that's one thing. And the more I look in that direction, and especially the more it pisses me off, the more I am outraged, or the more that my emotional vibrational frequency hits a tone of dissatisfaction, anywhere on the dissatisfaction line, angry, jealous of those who have the billion-dollar private yachts, as I start really look at the world of privilege and the world of suffering, and look at that and go, wow, that is so unfair. Now I'm whatever. I could go to a picture of my emotional guidance system right now. It might be helpful. Let's see if it is. Here's your emotional guidance scale. Is it the if I observe the current situation from any place from boredom on down, pessimism, honestly, the way I'm looking at this, I can't see it very clearly. Frustration, overwhelmment, discouragement, is that what that one is? Disappointment, maybe? doubt, worry, blame. Now we got to discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy. If I hit any of those frequencies while I am observing the state of affairs that I am not happy with, the things that I would not prefer, then actually I am at that moment, I am moving in the direction of that which I do not want. That's why whenever I'm in those states of consciousness, I actually try very hard not to move at all. Because if I'm going to be moving in the direction of what I don't want to be going there very fast. So I sit on my hands and I ponder the situation until I can transmute it, until I can figure out, where the gem in this actually is. The gem is that when you study our technology, our biotechnology, in other words, the consciousness that I am walking around in, that I am driving, this HBV, as I call it, that stands for human being vehicle. And the two components of the human being vehicle is the both the source mind and your physical mind. Those are the two you put, and your physical self, your whole physical self and your whole vibrational self. Those two aspects of you conventional you, and you vibrational you could say. There's all kinds of ways to delineate the two aspects of you. You could go all the way back to the fundamental view of form and formless. And your formless self, that's your intention. That's your connection to the whole rest of the field. That's your desire for more and better and joy. That's your source energy aspect of yourself, is that energy, that movement, that impulse forward, right? Your physical mind is the one that you're familiar with. And the two of you together comprise your HBV. And somebody has given us this technology. They gave it to us intentionally. And somehow our magnificent technology speaks to the quantum field. And we can line ourselves up, get into alignment with the greater field around us, and intentionally link into its morphogenetic field of information, and then in alignment flow with it and co-create with it and solve every freaking problem we've got. We absolutely can. So where would I begin with this? I have come across some pieces of really good wisdom information lately, coming from beings that are channeled entities, if you will. Now think what you want to of the totality of these channeled entities, because these channeled entities are channeled by human beings that then have things to say about that which they channel and stuff too. And everyone is allowed to input the information on their own through their own internal operating system and decide for themselves whether the ideas are good. And frankly, some of these ideas that I have come across, they're really good ideas. They're excellent. And when you add them into your big project of addition, as you're trying to piece together the whole, giant cryptogram that is our existence, that is our consciousness, it's a big allness jigsaw puzzle that you have every piece to. And you need to put it back together in some sort of in alignment with how it goes. Now, one thing that helps you with this is that being holographic, somewhere within your makeup, you actually already possess a template that has everything in place exactly where it goes. Your inner being is right there with that. Now your physical self has this blank template inside of your consciousness that can reflect that truth of where everything is. In your conscious mind, you could set it up. That's where the cryptogram is, in your conscious mind, in your physical mind. Can you reflect in your physical mind what your source mind knows? Because you are a big mirror. You have mirrors inside of your consciousness that are reflecting and refracting and fractally reflecting all the information of all the universe. In hierarchies, so the main field of information that you have the closest contact with is that which affects you the most, that which is around your physical body. But then the context goes out from there. And as human beings, we spend a lot of time pretending like we understand the greater context that we're in. But really, we haven't added in all the information, have we? So it is in service of that gap, that lack, perhaps, that need, that niche. That's where I come in. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to help raise consciousness, help us understand more clearly who we are and what is the nature of the field that we are swimming in. Well, how is our reality coming into being? In every moment, how is the energy moving, and how I am looking affecting what is happening to me? I see all kinds of examples of people dealing with their situation with better and less better ways of understanding. And the ones who have the least understanding of who they are and how it works are having the toughest time. Blaming everybody else, so sure that the reason that this happened is because you did such and such. Well, I'll tell you what. If your formula ever is blaming others around you like that, so all of my problems are caused because you do such and such. If that's what your formula is in your iOS, if that's how you got it worked out, then you're in a world of trouble, because it means that all of your problems if all of my problems are caused by you doing certain things, then the only way I can fix my problems is to force you to do something different. Isn't that funny? And doesn't that explain why a lot of people spend a lot of their time trying to force other people into different behavior? But isn't it more wonderful when you can find the formula that says, I create my own reality, and I am 100% responsible for how it turns out, because it's not a question of one single physical frame that we all have to bang around in this space that isn't big enough to hold us all. Isn't it great that that's not actually the paradigm of reality that we're living in? We live in a universe that is so big, it is totally big enough to fit every single person's oddly wildest imagination can be. Let me put it this way. My desire to live in a world where we all co-creatively come to a point where we all get along with one another, we all allow one another to be, we all co-creatively create a mutual world of win-win-win-win abundance. My desire to live in a world like that does not interfere with your desire to experience what it would be like to live in a post-apocalyptical nightmare. You may want to experience that. you know? In a universe of all possibility, somebody is going to want to experience that. And we don't need to step on one another. There's room enough in this dream for everything, for every dream, for every nightmare. It's all possible. That's actually one of the messages from the quantum field. It is a formless field of possibility that can become anything we want it to be. Now, the key is to understand how your equipment is working. And as it turns out, in the manifestation game, what you are looking at and how you are looking at it is what, for you, spiritually speaking, is unfolding. If you are staring at what we've got, wondering why it never changes, well, it changes all the time. It's just changing to more of basically the same thing. Because you keep looking at where we are instead of looking where you want to go. Because we can do this way different. If you would learn to focus upon what you want in this world. Now, you have to take into consideration what you got, because that's the springboard from where you start. You know, it's sort of like if you're driving a high-speed vehicle down the road. You're looking where you're going. You're looking forward in front of you, and you're thinking in a way about the destination, you know, San Diego or Phoenix or, you know, wherever it is you're going. Durango, Colorado. In any case, you have a sense of where you're going in general, the main destination, and then you're using where you are on the road, because you can't just look forward. You have to kind of take into consideration the road that you're on, but you don't put your windshield in the floorboard and just stare at the right where you are, you know, the gravel pattern of this 6 inches of road. No, you're going faster than that, and you're looking up, and you're looking down the road, and you're looking farther than that. You can't just stare at what we've got, especially transfixed in the negative. Because unbeknownst to you, the way you are working your equipment and your mysterious magical manifestation equipment, you are now creating more of what you've got. And if you're staring at what you don't like, then you're creating more of that. And who needs that? We don't want to create more of what we don't like. We want to understand what we've got, how the laws of the universe work, and look forward, look where you're going, look at what you want. Look at what we want us to have. And that actually explains why I come into this little forum, because I'm trying to exercise, just in a little way, in a small way, my ability to focus upon what I want, where I want humanity to be, as opposed to just focusing on where we are. Although you have to springboard from where we are to get where we want to be. And where are we? We're stuck in a paradigm right now where we have been sold a bill of goods because we weren't paying attention, because we were just staring at whatever it was we were staring at, but we didn't know who we were and we didn't know how it worked. And so now all of a sudden, because somebody has convinced us that we are problem solvers, they have gotten us to stare at the problem and stare at the problem and stare at the problem. And it keeps us from moving forward, doesn't it? Maybe we aren't supposed to move forward until our consciousness has risen to a certain level. And then we're like, oh, that's who we are. That's how it works. Ooh, there isn't any checks and balances except for there isn't anything between us and the fiery furnace or the glories of heaven or whatever. So what is some of this wisdom I've come across lately that I have found so useful? Well, recently I have um, uh, started looking at the material that Bashar channels. Now, the reason I even ever heard of him is because a very dear friend of mine pointed me to a book that she found called The Wisdom of Seth, Abraham, and Bashar. And it's a book that sort of parallels and compares the general wisdom that is being illuminated by the three channeled beings. Abraham being sort of a channeled collective consciousness by somebody who doesn't even like to call it channeling. Seth was a long time ago. Jane Roberts did that, and actually Esther and her husband Jerry especially read the Seth and had the questions. Esther didn't really have the questions. She was the open vessel. She was the one who easily became the channel for Jerry's questions. Very interesting. And he had his questions, a lot of it came from the studies that he was doing, all of the wisdom teachings that he came across. Napoleon Hill and his Think and Grow Rich, and Seth and whatever else Jerry read and his questions. He wanted to know how thoughts became things. He wanted to see the moment where that happened. How is that happening? And through his questions, his wife began to channel Abraham. And then now here's the Bashar. And my dear friend shows me this book where the three of them are, and I had already heard of the first two. And Bashar has a couple of interesting things. He has a download, the 135711 download, which I thought was really interesting. Now the 11 becomes more complicated. They are the aspects of passion and joy, and it's the 11 attributes or aspects or characteristics, or I'm not even sure exactly what the 11 things are, but they are referring to the characteristics of passion, bliss, and that impulse, because from Bashar's point of view, that's where you are, and that's what you should be following, is that most passionate feeling that you have within you. Follow your bliss, follow your passion until you can't follow it down that thread any longer. Then pause, regroup, find it again, and follow it again. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, because that's where your inner being is vibrating, is trying to guide you to. And the reason that you should be feeling like you can follow it is because it feels really good. It has a really good sensation. And that really powerfully good sensation, on its own, should be leading us. But our physical minds are tricking us into believing other things, into believing that we should be following our negative beliefs instead. Follow our powerfully negative feelings, because that's where the warnings are. And that's where, anyway, all of this tendency to use our equipment in this way is why I do this show. In order to help us find our true alignment with who we really are, instead of this default believing our negative mind thing that human beings have a tendency to do. So, what is the 1357? I'm just going to stop at the 7 because I understand it up to 7 very clearly. When I get to the 11, I don't understand the 11 aspects of our passion, so I can't really explain that one. But the 1357 goes like this. The one is the allness, the oneness that we are all. It's the Almighty that I call. I call it the Almighty. Others have called it the Almighty also. It's the holographic oneness that we are all a part of. The fact that the universe is holographic and all of the information is contained everywhere across the hologram is important. It's really, really, really important. Because of that, there is a quality, a oneness quality to the whole thing. The all is one and the one is all. It's also one of the 5 laws that you can't get away from. You exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. I'll get to that when I get to the 5. The 1 is that everything is one thing. There is a oneness in the allness. Anyway, now why does it not go to 2? Because when you go to 2, you go to the polarity of opposites. But when you have a polarity of opposites, there is an implied center position from a balance point from which you equally can see both of the polar positions, and so the 2 immediately goes to 3. So there's no 2. The 2 implies a third position, a vantage point from which to see the 2. So you go from the allness of 1 to the viewing position of the 3. And this is actually the meaning of the Holy Trinity in consciousness. That's the meaning there. Now the 5 is the 5 immutable laws of the universe. These 5 things you cannot change. It's the setup. The first one is you exist. There is nothing you can do to change that. The second one is the all is one and the one is all. There is nothing you can do to change that. The third one is, let's see what the third one is. Hold on. The third one is actually everything is here and now. There's nothing you can do to change that. Oh. No. The first one is, sorry, you exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. The second one is, everything is here and now. There's nothing you can do to change that. The third one is, the one is all, the all are one. There's nothing you can do to change that. The fourth one is, what you put out is what you get back. There is nothing you can do to change that. And the last one is, everything changes. There's nothing you can do to change that. And so from my perspective, that everything changes bit, there's nothing you can do to change that. That's the quantum field. So what never changes, what is always the same, is it is always Planck's that could become anything. And that anything that it could become has to keep becoming different things. And as a matter of fact, every inky winky plonky instant, it is becoming completely new. Completely new, completely new. You are literally new. You're winking fully out of existence. All of your particles, all of the particles that you think of as solid are actually winking out and right back in every Planck time. And the only reason you don't think that that's what's happening is because for the most part, in order to have an experience of continuity, you're mostly winking back in the same. But you don't have to. And what is causing you to wink back in, however you're winking in or out, is what you're looking at. So if you keep looking at what you've got, staring at what you've got, then you keep recreating more of the same thing of what you've got. That's why things don't look like they're changing very fast when they are indeed changing very, very fast. We could change everything in our physical existence that we do not like. We could improve starting immediately if we would understand how to direct our focus. Direct your focus in the direction of what you want. Spend more of your time thinking about all of the aspects of the things that you love and the things that you want and the things that you want to create and the things that you wish that were. All of the things that you want, keep them in your mind. Quit holding in the center of your mind all of the things that you don't like. We do that innocently enough because we are taught that we are problem solvers. Focus on the problem. Focus on the problem and the solution will come to you. Well, actually, in a roundabout way, that kind of does happen, but that's the hard way to do it. That's the long way to do it. Eventually, you'll get there, because step one does cause you to ask. But you can get off the ask quicker and into the faith that Source has answered you, and you can start looking for the answer way quicker than we do. We tend to just stare at the demon, and it freezes us. It turns us to stone when we stare right into the face of Medusa. You can't do that. You can't do that. Do you think that horror and fear and the human design is a new thing? It totally is not a new thing. These things are known, and actually the world is way more mythological, way more dreamlike, way more possible, way more malleable than anybody is really, than modern man is largely giving it credit for. So my advice is, let us spend more time focusing upon what we would like, because that's where we're going. If you're focusing on what we have that we don't like, well, that's where we're going to. And that's why our problems appear to amplify. So let's work on creating our dreamscape instead of our nightmarescape, people. Now, from a practical point of view, I would like to point out that my thinking is, at least in my own mind, based on what I believe is some pretty solid reality. And since I've passed the hour mark, I think what I'm going to do, what am I going to do? I have a new slide. This right here is the links, all of the links that I put to all the different videos in the description of this video. It may or may not be the best place to put it, and it may not be slick. But here's the information anyway. All of the links to the different things that I discuss. I have the movie, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, because I do seriously believe that a vast number of our practical, on-the-ground physical problems, that people are out there, they're out there at the level of the problem trying to fix the problem. They're trying to fix the sixth mass extinction. They're trying to fix Garbage Island. They're trying to fix the global warming. They're trying to fix the poisoning of Gaia. They're trying to fix all this stuff. They're trying to mediate the wars, when actually the whole problem is being caused by the way we are extracting energy and the artificial scarcity paradigm that is creating. When there is no scarcity of anything, there is ample plenitude of free, clean energy everywhere. Everywhere. There is no cave, no desert island, no outer reaches of outer space where this source of energy does not exist. And that's actually the whole point of my whole show, But anyway, so I put in The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, because that's a documentary of how over the last more than a century, devices that could have incrementally moved us from the paradigm, the total, massive, overwhelming paradigm of fossil fuel use that we are engaged in right now. We could have incrementally been moving away from it the whole time, as we incrementally discovered who and what we really are. But we didn't. And so guess what? Guess where we are? We're at a place where we screamingly need to understand who we are. Because we're killing the planet, and we're going to start killing one another. I have a feeling that some very harsh things are going to start happening in the United States, especially if the angry party if the aggrieved party, if the I'm going to get back at everybody party, and I'm going to screw them before they screw me party wins their candidacy. We'll see whether their candidate can stay out of jail first. But anyway, so the first thing I put in here is the lost century and how to reclaim it. And the link to that, it's a YouTube video. Then the origin of mass and nature of gravity, the YouTube video of that. That's a 37-minute video that explains the paper. And there's a link to the paper a little farther down, too. Then a link to the very first episode of Quantum Revolution. There are 11 more episodes. Loved this series. You know, if you can't swallow it all, swallow what you can. And chew on what you can. Well, chew on it and then swallow it, or however you want to do that analogy. There's 11 more episodes. I know they're over at Gaia. I don't know whether you can find them, all of the episodes on YouTube or not. I know you can find the first one, because there it is. Then there's the full movie, The Connected Universe. Came out in 2016, narrated by Patrick Stewart. There's the link to that. I loved this article, Butterfly Dreaming, by my friend. Actually, I call him my friend. I never met him. I texted, I think I emailed him once. Paul Levy, his Butterfly Dreaming. It's a lovely description of the situation we find ourselves in. And he also looks at reality from the direction of looking at it. He sees quantum physics and the truth, the deep truth embedded within the reality of quantum physics as being what will save humanity. He sees it. I agree with him. And I loved his article. And you can go look at all of his work over at awakeninthedream.com. This particular article, Butterfly Dreaming, that's the link to that. Then we have the paper, Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. And then the last thing was because, so everything is spin. All organization within all of the universe is all spin. Everything is spinning. Spin is fundamental. There is nothing in the universe that is in apparition that is not also spinning. Spin is fundamental. You don't have mass without spin. You don't have gravity without spin. You don't have appearance without spin. You don't have manifestation of any sort without spin. It is spin. That is all it is. That is the only thing that you are looking at, is this field, this quantum field of Planck's spinning, this ether, this divine matrix. It is spin. It is nothing but spin. And because of that, things like this last video I put in, you can see it. You go, oh, that's why they do this. And it's just a beautiful video about whirling dervishes. There's a guy who has been whirling for a number of years. He's 66 years old, and there's a reason why he does this, because everything is whirling. And when you do this, you feel closer to God, because God is the organization of this spin. It's so cool. We are all divine individuations, each of us in charge of our own center of our own spin and our own ability to line it up with the center, with the great central spin of the wholeness, or not. That's the meaning of our alignment or our misalignment. And when we are in alignment, then we click into the morphogenetic field of all the information of that level of spin. Very cool. I believe that us focusing more upon who we actually are and how it actually works is going to get us to the place where we can solve our problems, where we can live peacefully with one another, where we can, with positive anticipation and eagerness and excitement, look forward to our future, a sustainable future, plugged into source energy, where all of our technologies, we have all the technology we need to solve all the problems that we have. Let me move to a different, more inspiring background. Where was I? Where was my girl? My girl. Where is she? Is she with the moons? Girl, cherry moon. This is... We'll go back to this one. So, what was I saying about source energy? We can make it, people. We can make it because the universe is absolutely designed in our favor. We've been taught that our problems are so harsh and they're so difficult to solve, practically impossible, if not impossible to solve. We've got to keep staring at our problems and staring at our problems, and we don't. We shouldn't be staring at our problems. It's like, look at the problem, got it. Got it. I understand, got it. Now, have a little faith. Source has answered. There is a solution. But you have to up level to find the solution, because the solution is not going to be found at the same level where the problem was. Remember that? Einstein said that one. The level of the solution and the level of the problem, two different levels. So, who am I? That's actually the right question. And the answer is so magnificent and scary in a way, because you realize, oh, we all have this much potential, and there's no guardrails. The only guardrail is that actually there is a oneness. And when I make a mess over here, I can't help but feel the effect over there, because there's actually there is natural guardrails, quite beautiful guardrails. One of the reasons why we have not made it truly into outer space, even though we've been working at it for 50 years. Heck, we landed on the moon 50... How long ago was 1969? 55 years ago? This summer, July of this summer, we landed on the moon. And yet, we haven't really gotten much farther, have we? Incrementally. Why have we not gotten farther? If we're heading for the whole universe, we certainly haven't gotten very far. Why is that? The reason is because we have to understand the secrets of the quantum field in order to truly travel through it. The distances from the outside are so ridiculously long that it should discourage us from the outset. The only way that you can really travel this universe is you have to understand its nature. And if you understand its nature, you automatically become peaceful, because you have to tap into the frequency in order to see how to move through it. And in order to do that, you have to get a sense of the allness. And when you get a load of that, you understand the frequency, and then you understand that the frequency is all love. It's all connected. It's all one thing. There is only one of us here. And unless you truly understand that, you do not get the ticket you do not get your ticket punched or stamped or whatever, allowing you to freely move about the universe. Right now, as they put in the movie The Lost Century, we are considered armed and dangerous. or dangerous and armed is how they put it. And we are probably being observed by our creators are probably observing us, because now we have to get to the place consciously where we understand the setup. They understand it. Perhaps they are beings who incrementally evolved to it. And so they understood all the way along, deeply, 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 their connection to all of the rest of the field. Maybe they never lost their sense of connection to the rest of the field. But human beings certainly have. One of the amazing things about human beings is our ability to misalign. What does that mean? That's this slide. If you're a fan of the show, that's this slide. This slide shows your two minds. You have two minds. They are both spinning discs of attraction, attracting to their orbit cooperative components to their desires. The greater one, your source mind, is attracting with all the rest of the field, with all of reality, with all of your source knowing of who you are, where the atoms are, how they are moving, what's their temperature, their velocity, their direction, all of that. Your source mind knows what reality is. Your physical human mind, maybe not so much. As a matter of fact, it would do us all a bit of good to have some humility about how clear our physical minds really do understand physical reality. And I'm going to air quote physical reality, because in a way there really isn't physical reality. There is no physical reality. It is all mental, as the founders of quantum physics realized. That even Einstein, he said, it's an illusion, albeit a very powerful one. Physically, things don't actually exist. It is puffs of air. What it really is it's all spin. But there isn't anything spinning. It's just space-time itself is spinning. This ether of Planck's, this vibrational frequency universe, where all of it is reverberating with all of it, transferring all of its information across scales, across distances, we are the quantum field. And as such, there is pure potential for anything we want. But the other thing you can't get away from is that we're all stuck to each other. We're all glued together. We're a field phenomenon. What you do affects me. What I do affects you. You can't escape that. And so you got to work with it. You got to know who you really are. I was working on the 1, 3, 5, 7 download and I didn't get to 7. The 5 was you exist. Everything is here and now. Let's see, what is that again? You exist, everything's here and now, the one is all and all is one. What you put out's what you get back, and everything changes. That's the 5. What's the 7? Those are your 7 needs. As a physical being, the 7 things you need to sustain your life, to sustain a vigorous version of your life. Air. Clean air, by the way, which is not as abundant as it ought to be. We need to clean up our air. Air, water, clean water. Got to clean that up too. The third thing you need is actually sleep, because you need communion with your greater soul. And that's what sleep gives you. There is only one of us here, and when you go into sleep, you get to commune with the greater part of yourself and work things out. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, there was more than one of our founding fathers of quantum physics who felt that it was of great meaning to learn how to lucid dream and then to do physics experiments in their dreams, in their lucid dreams. That was valid. That was a valid form of research for them. Isn't that funny? So sleep, then food, then shelter, which just means a conducively sheltering environment. Doesn't have to mean a house. And then the sixth one is relationship. You have to have something to relate to because we are a mirror. That's how the whole thing is a one thing, and how it all can relate to all of itself is through mirrors. You have a great mirror within the template of your own conscious mind that in potential can reflect every single Planck point on the grid that exists in reality. You have that within your consciousness, that template for that kind of awareness. You just got to set it up right. You got to line it up right. You have to put it into alignment with actual reality. And then the last thing you need is expression. Now, those last two, if you don't have relationship or expression, they won't kill you immediately. But that's why a solitary confinement is such a torture to human beings, because it deprives them of anything to relate to. Although the wise being who finds themselves in solitary confinement will start developing an ability to relate to the cosmos, because you actually can insert everything for that relationship. For the something, you could put everything in there, and that gives you something to relate to. And everything is always with you, no matter where you are, even if you are in prison or in solitary confinement. So that's what I would do if I ever found myself in that kind of a situation. I would immediately revert to the relating to the allness in order to keep my sanity. So, what do I want to say about any of this before I go? If you're a fan of the show, you may have seen this slide before, the 4 general states of being. This is representative of your accelerator and your decelerator. You decelerate your starship, your consciousness ship, your ship of light, your being ship of light. You slow it down when you go general. Now, whatever state of being you're in, whether you're negative or whether you're positive, that's the direction you're going. So if you're in a negative state of being, you are going in a negative direction. In other words, you are going 180 degrees in the opposite direction of who you really are clearly wants to go. You are going 180 degrees opposite, which is good information. Because if you're trying to find yourself, if you're trying to figure out, who am I? Know that if you're in a negative state of being, who you really are is the opposite of that. Isn't that funny? So the specific is the accelerator. So if you are in a negative, don't go specific. Quit thinking about anything. Let go. Just learn how to just detach right there. And the quicker you can spot it, that you're going into negative territory, the easier you will have to let go. Because if you let it gather some momentum before you try to let it go, you find that your being is sort of entangled in the negative specificity now, and you have a hard time letting go because your consciousness is saying, but it's real, but it's real, but it's real. I can't let go. This horrible thing is really happening, and I really, really need to. Anyway, that's what this little slide is all about. I am coming up on the 1.5 hour mark, so I'm probably going to end here pretty soon. Do I want to quickly go through all of my slides? This is the paper of the origin of mass and nature of gravity, the mathematics of which and all the other mathematics that Nassim has done, the mathematics that unified the universe to begin with. Do you understand how simple, in a way, the universe, the quantum, and the cosmological relates to one another? So if you look at a Planck at the Planck density is a very, very dense object. Very dense. That density of Planck's at the quantum level, so think about all the Plancks in a bit of matter, in a proton. In a proton. How many Plancks do you think there are in a proton? Well, there's lots and lots. As a matter of fact, it's the same number as the mass of the universe. Because all of the Plancks in the Planck field of a single proton are reflecting all of the information, and I do have I think it's this one. Which one is it? Is it this one? No. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? It's this one. This one shows the relationship between the Planck field within the proton and all of the protons in the universe. There is a correlation between this. And there's mathematically that shows you what it is. It also shows you how... Oh, here's the Planck unit. This is what a Planck is. A Planck is a photon, a packet of light, going at the speed of light, crossing its own diameter. So it's a very, very tiny thing to begin with, going very, very fast, going a very, very short distance. And so what is the distance it goes? That's the Planck length. What's the time it takes to do that? That's a Planck time. And since mass and energy have a correlation, have an analog, that the Planck mass, that's the amount of energy involved in that little eeny-weeny Planck frequency, that little thing. That is the ether that the universe is made of. That is the quantum field. That's the quanta, those Planck frequency lengths. Now, when those Plancks go into spin, when a little vortex of those Plancks go into spin, it creates matter, mass, apparition, appearance, experience, motion, reality comes into being. How many Plancks are in a proton? If you made all of the Plancks, instead of being Planck-sized, make them the size of a grain of sand so that you can take a look at this thing that you got in front of you, because at the size of the proton you can't see it, it's too small. So let's make all those Plancks the size of a grain of sand. Now how big is that proton? That proton is from our sun to Alpha Centauri. Make that a sphere. That's the diameter of the sphere. Fill it with sand. Incredibly energetic, incredibly dense, powerfully dense. If you take one of those Plancks at that density and grow it to the size of the universe, you get the correct density of the cosmological universe. And you don't just get the correct density of the mass, the visible mass of the universe. You get the correct density of the visible mass plus dark matter and dark energy, which you don't have to add that back in as a fudge factor to get the universe to behave the way that it behaves. As a matter of fact, it absolutely implies that the Big Bang of our universe came from a Planck of a much higher density universe being flung off through Hawking radiation, hits this lighter density and goes boom like a Big Bang. the density, the gradient density of those two spaces is what caused that Big Bang to go off. That's what the mechanism of the Big Bang actually is. And you would know this if you'd go watch all of Nassim Haramein's Quantum Revolution series. 12 episodes talking about everything from the fullness of space, from the fundamental nature of spin, from the Big Bang model, the model of the Big Bang and foaming Big Bangs, how we live in a multiverse, not just a single universe. All that kind of stuff. And let's see, what other? The black hole structure. Black holes all the way up and all the way down. That we live in actually the multiverses are nested within one another, like Russian dolls. And actually, all of the information of all of the universes is coming to you across all of your atomic structure, because every one of your protons is reflecting all the information of all the rest of the protons in all of the universe, updated now, every Planck instant. Isn't that interesting? Wouldn't it be great if we could focus on all of these things from this direction? How cool we are. How cool is the universe? How possible is it to solve all of our problems? Very, very possible. You just got to understand how your equipment works. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what we've got that you don't like. And you got to take it into account, but don't focus there, because it just keeps creating more of that. And I, for one, don't want more of that. And so with that, I have made it to probably past where I want to go. I'm past an hour and 36 minutes. So I think with that, I will say goodbye for today. I'll be back again tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I just know that we need to understand who we are. If we would do that first, and then go forth and tackle what the things that we consider to be problems, they won't be problems anymore. They'll be opportunities. Opportunities for us to set things right, to live harmoniously on planet Earth with the rest of our fellow biological beings in joyous communion and relationship. And with that, I will leave you. I will leave you for today. But until tomorrow, I certainly bid you peace. I bid you peace, and may the source be with you.